The bridesmaid stepped directly into my path before my wheelchair reached the chapel doors. I'm sorry, she whispered, glancing over her shoulder. Vanessa asked me to stop you. I tightened my grip on the small white gift box resting on my lap. Stop me. Before she could answer, my sister appeared in the doorway wearing her wedding dress, surrounded by photographers adjusting their cameras. She didn't even look at my face first. Her eyes dropped to my wheelchair. Oh, good, she said loudly enough for nearby guests to hear. You actually listened. I came to congratulate you, I replied quietly. Vanessa folded her arms. I changed my mind. The photographers paused. So you're really banning me? She sighed dramatically, as if I were the difficult one. Nora, don't make this awkward. Then she smiled at the wedding planner standing beside her. I already told everyone, she said. That wheelchair girl will ruin the photos. Everything around me became painfully quiet. A few guests looked away. Others stared at me with uncomfortable sympathy. I searched the crowd until I found my mother. She met my eyes for only a second before walking over. Nora, she said softly, placing a hand on my shoulder, please don't make today harder. I stared at her. Mom, it's her day. My father stood only a few feet away. He didn't say a single word. Not one. A cousin gently reached for the handles of my wheelchair. Come on, she murmured. Let's just go. As if I were the problem. As if simply showing up to my own sister's wedding was some kind of disruption. I looked back one last time. Vanessa had already turned away. The photographers followed her inside. The ceremony continued. Without me. Without another thought. No one noticed the gift box still resting on my lap. No one asked why I hadn't left it at the gift table. And that was their biggest mistake. Outside, I loaded myself into my adapted car, the way I'd done thousands of times since the accident that changed my life 4 years earlier. At 17, I had become very good at doing difficult things alone. I folded my wheelchair into the driver's side, secured it, and carefully placed the white gift box on the passenger seat instead of leaving it behind. I looked at the elegant calligraphy on the label. To Vanessa. With love. I almost laughed. There wasn't a wedding present inside. There never had been. The engine started. In the rearview mirror, I could still see guests laughing as they entered the chapel, completely unaware that the bride had just humiliated her own teenage sister because she thought a wheelchair would spoil the pictures. She believed the story ended the moment I drove away. She believed silence meant surrender. For years, I had let everyone believe exactly what Vanessa wanted them to believe. That I was fragile. That I needed protecting. That I had given up on the dreams I'd once talked about from my hospital bed. Even after my accident at 13 left me unable to walk, I never stopped creating. Designing became the one place where nobody could tell me I wasn't enough. While other kids spent summers at the mall, I filled sketchbooks with invitation layouts, floral concepts, seating charts, logos, and branding ideas. It became my escape. Vanessa had always praised those designs. She called me brilliant. She said one day we'd work together. I believed her. I believed all of them. Until today. I pulled out my phone and opened a courier app. Pickup confirmed. Delivery time, 1 hour. Exactly when the wedding reception speeches would begin. I entered the venue address. Then I placed the white box beside me one last time. If you don't want me at your wedding, I whispered into the empty car, then the truth can attend instead. I pressed the confirmation button. The package was officially on its way. And inside that box was everything my family had spent years pretending didn't exist. The house felt strangely quiet when I rolled through the front door. For the first time all day, no one was telling me to leave. No one was pretending not to hear me. No one was asking me to keep the peace. I set the empty wrapping paper on the kitchen table and carried the storage box from the hall closet into my bedroom. Not the white wedding box. The other one. The one I'd promised myself I'd never have to open again. I stared at it for several seconds before lifting the lid. Inside were old sketchbooks, folders, flash drives, notebooks, and sealed envelopes. 4 years of my life. 4 years I'd packed away because believing my own sister had betrayed me had hurt too much. Before touching anything else, I reached for my laptop. Instead of opening social media, I clicked on a folder labeled Family Videos. The oldest clip began playing. I was 13. Still walking. Still chasing Vanessa through our backyard with a garden hose. "You'll never catch me," she laughed. "I absolutely will." Dad was grilling burgers while Mom sat on the porch recording us. "Smile together," she called. Vanessa threw an arm around my shoulders. "My little sister's going to be famous one day." "I am. You make the coolest drawings." I grinned at the camera. "I'll design your wedding someday." Vanessa laughed. "You better." The video froze as the recording ended. I swallowed hard. There had been a time when she actually sounded proud to call me her sister. Sometimes I wondered whether that version of Vanessa had ever really existed, or whether I'd simply been too young to notice who she really was. Everything changed after the accident. A drunk driver crossed the center line during a rainy evening. I survived. My legs didn't. Months of surgeries and rehabilitation followed. When I finally returned to school in a wheelchair, people stared. Some whispered. Most eventually stopped noticing. Vanessa never did. At first it was subtle. "This restaurant has too many stairs. Maybe Nora should stay home. This vacation isn't really wheelchair-friendly." Mom would always answer the same way. "We'll make it up to you next time." Next time never came. Family photos became another reminder. Photographers would arrange everyone before asking awkwardly, "Where should we put the wheelchair?" Vanessa always answered before anyone else could. "Off to the side." Not beside me. Not with me. Off to the side. Little by little, I stopped appearing in the center of our family memories. The hardest part wasn't what strangers said. It was how casually my own family adapted to Vanessa's attitude. At birthday parties, she'd introduce me with an uncomfortable laugh. "This is Nora." Then, almost as an afterthought, "You know, my wheelchair sister." Eventually that became that wheelchair girl. Every time she said it, nobody corrected her. Dad would keep eating. Mom would smile nervously. Relatives would change the subject. I kept pretending it didn't hurt because I convinced myself arguing would only make everyone uncomfortable. I wanted a family more than I wanted to win. So I stayed quiet. Again. And again. And again. During rehabilitation, when walking was no longer possible, drawing became everything. If I couldn't run anymore, my imagination could. I filled sketchbook after sketchbook with elegant wedding invitations, floral arrangements, seating layouts, venue branding, logos, menus, and color palettes. I studied professional event designers online. I watched tutorials for hours. Vanessa noticed. One evening, she sat beside my hospital bed, flipping through my newest sketchbook. "Nora." "What?" "These are incredible." "You really think so?" "I know so." She smiled. "If I ever start my own event company." She tapped one of my floral concepts. "I'm hearing you." I believed every word. My phone buzzed. Someone had posted new wedding photos. Against my better judgment, I opened them. The invitation lying on one reception table caught my attention. I zoomed in. My breathing slowed. The floral border. The typography. Even the ribbon placement. Something about it felt painfully familiar. Had I seen it before? Or was I imagining it? I closed the photo before I could think too much about it. Maybe today had simply made me emotional. Maybe. I turned back toward the storage box. One by one, I removed old journals, sketchbooks, external hard drives, folders marked with dates, neatly organized envelopes. I had kept everything because my rehabilitation therapist always told me, never throw away your work. One day you'll want to see how far you've come. She never imagined those records would become evidence. At the very bottom sat one sealed envelope. Unlike the others, it had only 3 handwritten words. Do not lose. My heart pounded. Slowly, I opened it. Inside was the one document I'd completely forgotten existed. I stared at it for several silent seconds before whispering, I never thought I'd need this. By the time the reception speeches began, Vanessa had already convinced herself the worst part of the day was over. I was gone. The photographs were clean. No wheelchair in the aisle. No awkward questions. No sister she had to explain. According to the live stream one of my cousins had left running, Vanessa was standing near the head table while her maid of honor praised her in front of nearly 200 guests. Vanessa built everything she has from nothing, she said into the microphone. She turned creativity into a career. Applause filled the ballroom. Vanessa smiled. Then the doors opened. A courier stepped inside, carrying a white box. Delivery for Vanessa Carter. My mother's expression changed immediately. Vanessa laughed. Oh. She recognized the wrapping. Nora finally decided to behave. A few relatives chuckled nervously. The courier handed her the box and left. Vanessa set it on the table. Maybe it's an apology. My father said quietly, you don't have to open it now. Vanessa was already pulling away the ribbon. I want to. She lifted the lid. Her smile disappeared. Inside were copies of dated sketchbook pages, printed emails, design drafts, and photographs of original notebooks. Every page was labeled. Every date was visible. Vanessa grabbed the first binder. What is this? A woman standing nearby leaned closer. Her name was Melissa Grant, another event planner Vanessa had worked with for years. Melissa picked up one design. Then another. Her eyebrows tightened. Vanessa. What? Melissa held up a floral seating chart concept. I've seen this before. Vanessa froze. Melissa turned it around. This is almost identical to the Kingsley wedding. Several guests leaned closer. Vanessa snatched the page from her. Lots of people use flowers. Melissa ignored her and picked up another sheet. A golden ivory invitation layout. Then another. A geometric reception backdrop. Then another. A charity gala logo. Each drawing had my name at the bottom. Nora Carter. Each one had a date. Most were from when I was 13 and 14. Melissa looked at Vanessa. These dates are years before your company launched. The table went silent. Vanessa slammed the binder shut. My sister copies everything I do. Mom stared at her. Nora was 13. So, and recovering from surgery. Vanessa's jaw tightened. She had plenty of time to copy things. One of Vanessa's former clients stepped forward. Copy what? Vanessa looked at him. He pointed toward the binder. Your business didn't exist yet. The room shifted. People weren't congratulating her anymore. They were calculating, comparing dates, passing pages between tables. Someone found a printed screenshot of one of Vanessa's award-winning campaigns beside my original drawing. They were nearly identical. Even the handwritten notes matched. My father reached for another document. Vanessa. She snapped, stop touching it. That only made more people look. Melissa pulled out a page, showing one of my earliest wedding branding concepts. This was your signature collection. Vanessa's face turned pale. I developed it. Melissa pointed to the date. Then explain why your 17-year-old sister has the original version from 4 years ago. Nobody laughed this time. Nobody told anyone to stay out of it. For once, the room Vanessa controlled had stopped listening to her. A former client slowly set down his champagne glass. Then he asked the question everyone was suddenly thinking. Vanessa, whose work have we been celebrating all these years? The ballroom never recovered. The string quartet had stopped playing. Servers stood frozen beside untouched dinner plates. Guests who had spent the afternoon celebrating a perfect wedding were now gathered in anxious circles, quietly comparing pages from the box. Vanessa looked around desperately, searching for someone to take her side. My sister is trying to destroy me, she snapped. She's jealous because everyone's finally paying attention to me. No one answered immediately. For the first time in years, people weren't accepting her version of events without question. Melissa slowly closed one of the binders. Then call Nora. I don't have to prove anything. If she's lying, Melissa replied calmly, this should be easy to clear up. Vanessa grabbed her phone with shaking hands. She called once. No answer. Again. Straight to voicemail. A third time. Nothing. She looked at my parents. She's doing this on purpose. My father didn't respond. Instead, he quietly picked up another folder from the box. Inside were printed email exchanges. His expression changed. Hey, Vanessa. What? Did you ever borrow Nora's files? Vanessa's eyes darted toward the papers. They're taken out of context. Mom reached for them before Vanessa could. She began reading aloud. I can present these to the client tomorrow. They'll never know they're still rough drafts. I'll explain everything afterward. Mom looked up. What client? Vanessa immediately reached for the papers. Give me those. But several guests had already started photographing the documents. The evidence was no longer confined to the box. It was spreading across the room. Within minutes, my parents left the reception. Vanessa followed them, still insisting everyone had misunderstood. I was sitting in my bedroom when headlights stopped outside our house. I already knew who it was. The knock came almost immediately. Nora. It was my father. I opened the door. My mother walked in first, still wearing her formal dress, mascara streaked from crying. Vanessa followed behind them. She looked furious. Happy now, she demanded. You humiliated me. I met her eyes. No. You destroyed my wedding. I didn't. You absolutely did. I shook my head. I sent documents. The documents destroyed your wedding. Silence filled the room. Mom looked between us. Nora. She swallowed hard. Please tell us what's going on. Without saying a word, I rolled into my bedroom and returned carrying my laptop. I placed it on the dining table. I was hopping I'd never have to show anyone this. I opened a cloud storage folder. Hundreds of files appeared. Every project was organized by date. Every revision automatically time-stamped. Every backup stored years before Vanessa had registered her business. Dad leaned closer. They're all here. I nodded. I never deleted anything. Vanessa folded her arms.